Welcome to Garden Valley Church Podcasts. We are so looking forward to having you join us today.
Well, hi guys. Welcome to the Youth Culture Podcast. Well, hi guys. Welcome back to the Youth Culture Podcast. Good to see you guys. I'm here with our senior pastor, Craig Schlesinger.
Hi.
Hey, Craig. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Today we're going to have a fun conversation. I've grown up pretty much my whole life coming to Garden Valley Church, other than being in Redding, California, for a couple of years. And one of the things that I love about Craig is the way that he has taken in so many and raised them up and sent them out to go be involved in various ministries, different avenues, especially in fivefold ministry capacity. At the same time, the way that he's been super intentional with my life. And so kind of what I was hoping to do with this conversation today on Sonship is kind of pull from my life, and especially with his life and him raising up other leaders and people as well, and talking about what the Bible has to say about sonship and why sonship is so important. So if you're into that, here we go. So Craig, tell us a little bit about why you raise up leaders.
Well, Brandon, the model that has been passed down to us generationally is a Hebraic model. Mm-hmm. And as a Jew, I don't pretend to understand it more, but I do understand some of the Hebraic model because I was raised in a Jewish a mindset, in a Jewish culture. And the Hebraic model is different than the Greek model, certainly the American model. The Hebraic model, the Hebrew model that Jesus functioned under also was a model where fathers and sons interacted in a dynamic way, and the culture and the thought processes and the understanding of Scripture and the understanding of life and the understanding of marriage. Really, everything came through the interaction that took place between a father and a son. Mm-hmm. And so when Jesus often said to us in the New Testament, I'm modeling my life after my Father in heaven.
I don't do anything apart from what the Father
says. I do what he says. I do what I see him doing. I say what I hear him saying. I'm modeling. I am mimicking, really, my Father. And that model was not foreign to the Jews of the day at all. What freaked them out was that he had the audacity to refer to God as Father. Yeah. And that was really difficult for them because they had no concept of God as Father. Yeah. They had no way to relate to that. In fact, they really that's why they wanted him dead.
Yeah.
Is because to them that was blasphemy. So for me personally, having grown up without a father, really, my father died early. He was an absentee father even at that. Worked a lot, was gone a lot. So I had a very, very limited and a very shallow relationship with a father figure. So when I came into the kingdom in the 1970s, I had a very poor understanding of a father, and it was a problematic thing for me because that just kind of spins you off into performance.
Yeah.
So it took some breakthrough in my life. It took some healing in my life, and the New Testament awareness that fathering is real.
Yeah.
And not only did Jesus model that perfectly, Paul modeled that for us with his spiritual sons, Timothy especially. So for me, Brandon, probably back in the 1990s, it really became a point of study and a point of emphasis for me as a younger pastor in my 30s and my 40s especially, that fathering, though it was not necessarily the American model of leadership, it was the Hebraic, biblical model of leadership, where you live life and you teach sons and daughters not what to think, but how to think.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with you.
Yeah.
And
Think for yourself.
you've got to learn how to think.
Yeah.
Fathering is a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal. And there's not that many pastors and churches that have a fathering model, because it's not the American model. It's just not, it hasn't been, maybe ever.
Wow. That makes sense.
So that's I don't know if that answered that question,
Absolutely. That was
but we must rediscover the Hebraic model.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As opposed to the Hellenistic model, which is a Greek in its origin, and it is a different model of leadership entirely. Maybe some strong points within it, but by and large, in the Hellenistic model, you manage people, where in the Hebraic model, you father people.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, and that breaks free of that mindset of I've got to get it right. I'm being micromanaged, so what happens if I mess up? I'm going to be in trouble for that, versus being fathered. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
just today we were just having a conversation, right? A couple
Yeah,
of days
fathers expect you to mess up.
Sure.
Not surprised when you do, and you are not going to be punished for messing up. Maybe disciplined,
Sure.
but not punished.
Which is very different.
Yes, it is. It is different.
Absolutely. I love that scripture you were talking about, Jesus says, I do nothing apart from what I see the Father doing. And then you mentioned with Paul and his disciples or his sons as well. And, Paul says, mimic Christ. Mimic me as I mimic Christ.
Right.
And it's kind of that whole thing of just working with youth. I know that there's a lot of times where I want to micromanage and I want to fix the issues and fix all the things. And what's hilarious, I feel like, is as I'm growing in this and learning, to be able to father a flock or a group of people, you can't micromanage.
No.
All you can do is ease them and help them and guide them, but it's not your responsibility to fix them.
I think for someone in your particular case, as a young man, not a daddy yet, not a married man, not a daddy yet, but you still have opportunity to train teenagers by walking out your sonship. All of us, myself included, even as a 70-year-old man, I still am walking out my sonship.
I love that.
You never graduate from that. though I am a spiritual father, I still am a son. There are individuals, there are men in my life that I'm still a son to. And it, when you model that, when you demonstrate that, that's some of the most powerful learning. Your students, as a youth director, your students will learn more from you by how you model and walk out being a son than anything you'll ever say to them in lecture form. They'll learn a lot by watching you.
It's really true.
They will learn a lot by watching you as you relate with Brian. They'll learn a lot as you relate to me. And I remember one time when Matthew, my son, was a teenager, and he was getting a little lippy with me. Uh-oh. He had a smart mouth every now and then. And I remember saying to him, I said, Matthew, I would never say to my spiritual father what you're saying to me right now. And it is really hurtful what you're saying to me. And I would never talk to my father like that. What was I trying to teach and train him is that don't do what I say. I want you to become what I am. And your success in life as a son has a lot to do with how you honor
that's really true.
and regard spiritual fathers in your life. Very powerful principle. To dishonor a father, even I learned this the hard way, and it was a hard lesson learned, because my father was not just absentee, but he was also abusive, and I didn't like him. I stood over his grave at the memorial service, and everyone was crying on the inside. I was rejoicing because I was so angry and hateful toward him. And that did more damage to me than it did to him. He was in the grave, but I was that anger and resentment toward a father and dishonor. And the Bible says if you dishonor parents, it will not go well for you. That's the 5th commandment in the Bible, and an important commandment. So it's important how we relate to fathers, including our own earthly, biological father, but also to spiritual fathers. God will put you in proximity to spiritual fathers to train you. And we need to be quick to recognize those that he's circled us with.
Put you around.
Yes, yes.
I think being a son, one of the biggest pieces of that, or the principles of being a son, is honor. You know, you were talking about the importance of it, and I know in my life, honoring people has always been something that I really feel in my heart like that's what we're called to do. And, you know, the Bible talks about how honor is one of the greatest ways that we can show value to someone older than us. And
well, Paul said something really on that very train of thought, Brandon. Paul said to Timothy in I think it was in the book of Philippians, actually Philippians chapter 2. He said that when Timothy was serving him, this is Paul speaking, Timothy, when you're serving me, Paul was saying, you are serving Christ. Now that's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
But it's true. Serving God really is demonstrated largely in how we relate relationally, how we relate to our spouse, how we relate to those above us in spiritually, how we relate to those that are equal to us, and how we relate to those that are below us, not lesser than us, but younger than us, the immature. And so we serve God, and that's demonstrated and manifested in our life in how we relate to other people, how we honor spiritual moms and dads, how we honor and relate laterally to those who are our peers, and how we relate in an honorable way to those who are younger or more immature, and we reach down, not push them down, but we reach down to help bring them up.
That's really true.
And in so much of the world, for those that are over us in the Lord, or over us in a vocational capacity, even our thought process in the United States is, somehow I'm going to reach up and try to pull you down. But in the kingdom of God, in the Hebraic model, Brandon, those that are over us, we want to do everything we can to make them even greater still.
Yeah,
we want to do everything within our ability and power to cause them to even go higher, not to reach up and try to pull them down to our level. And in so doing, that's how promotion comes to us.
Sure.
It's really important, especially if you're watching this today and you are, in your 20s or your 30s. This is of critical importance to you, how you relate to those who are over you in the Lord, or even over you in a vocational work context. Your honor, even if you work for a cantankerous boss, even if you work for a mean boss, there's a way that you can honor that person. You're honoring them. This is important. You need to get this. You're honoring them more because you are honorable than they deserve the honor. There's people that you will be required to honor that aren't great people. Listen, study Daniel.
I was just thinking.
Daniel worked for an animal. This guy, Nebuchadnezzar was the most vile, evil man, and Daniel honored him as much as a man could. Mm-hmm. And because of it, he was promoted. Wow. And because he was an honorable leader, there was a certain untouchableness about his life.
Oh, come on.
Don't mess with someone who's walking in honor, because it will backfire on you just about every time. So it's important how we honor those that are over us, those that are peers with us, and those that are under us in the Lord. There's a certain kind of honor that God wants to see from our life, and as we extend it and walk in that, we really are walking in the beauty of sonship.
Yeah.
What was one of the first things that Jesus did to demonstrate his sonship? You remember?
Like the washing of the disciples' feet.
Well, that was later on.
Gotcha.
He's about to get baptized by John. And John the Baptist, John said, I can't baptize you. I need to be baptized by you.
Yeah.
And what did Jesus say? He said, no, we need to fulfill the law here. Well, what law was that? Well, I believe what Jesus was saying is, I'm submitting. I'm submitting myself to a biblical process, biblical protocols. Right. In fact, really, he was demonstrating, I'm submitting to you, John. Wow. John said, I feel like I'm not even worthy to unloose your sandal straps. And Jesus said, it's okay, let's do this. I'm modeling something. See, I'm modeling something. So a lot of our life is as we walk out our sonship, we're modeling to others. Yeah. And those are the most powerful, penetrating sermons you'll ever preach. Come on. And you're not preaching them from the pulpit. That people are watching your life. So as you walk this sonship thing out, that's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was just thinking about when Jesus was at the Garden of Gethsemane, just before he went to the cross, and he's praying to his Father, because he's in relationship with the Father, and he says, God, if it's your will, let this cup pass from me. But he was the Son of God. He could have said all kinds of things. I'm not doing this, but he was submitted to his Father.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just think like that.
So I think it's really healthy for us to think in fathering terms, to actually use a fathering terminology. Mm-hmm. So here's some examples I've jotted down. Okay, I like to think of it as an organic model. Fathering is an organic Hebraic model, as opposed to the Hellenistic or the organizational model. Okay, now see if this makes sense. Okay, so the organic model is a life lived. The organizational model is a system implemented. So we want to think in more organic terms if we're going to be thinking in a Hellenistic way. In the organic model, we have fathers. In the organizational model, we have owners. Fathers, owners. In an organic model, we train sons and daughters. In the organizational model, we hire employees. The difference between an employee and a son. I mean, what a stark contrast.
Light years, yeah.
Yeah.
Complete.
In an organic model, sons and daughters are birthed and nurtured. In the organizational model, you recruit and organize.
Wow, that's
in the organic model, that is a relational model. In the organizational model, everything's program centered. Organic, covenant. Organizational, contract. Similar, but still very different. In the organic model, the building of character is a big deal. It's character oriented.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we don't want you just to be gifted. We want, in the Hebraic model,
that's good.
Your character is actually more important than your gift.
Yeah.
You can be very gifted, but have such poor character that your life will not sustain your gift. So we have character-oriented leadership in an organic model. In the organizational model, it's talent oriented.
Sure. It's about your performance.
Yeah, we hired you for your talent, not for your character. But in the Hebraic model, you can never outrun your character. So character is a big deal. In the organic model, the emphasis is on faithfulness. In the organizational model, the emphasis is on success.
Wow.
Okay? Now, the Hebraic model believes this. If you will learn how to be faithful, you will be a success.
That's good.
One is based on internal mechanisms, and the other model operates on external mechanisms. One is a generational emphasis, and another is immediate results. And so the American church is goofed up in this.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's goofed up. Most churches go out and hire pastors.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, in the Hebraic model, that would be like going out to hire a father. I'm gonna go on a father search.
Makes sense.
I mean, those are conflicting thoughts. So much of the American church is really quite organizational, quite Hellenistic. We hire it out, as opposed to being a generational and organic thing where I'm part of a generational vision. I'm part of the, when we say, I've heard you say it, the DNA of the house. Mm-hmm. That speaks of generational.
Yeah.
So we need to start wrapping our minds around a fathering model.
Love that. Well, and I think it all kind of comes full circle, and something that we can talk about is, I remember probably one of the first meetings I had in the office with you, and I mentioned to you that I've been a son for so long and I'll always be a son. That'll never change. But how do you begin to father when all you've known is how to be a son? And we were sitting down and talking about the difference between the two. I think that ultimately what you have been saying in this whole conversation is if you have, the character, and if you're taking care of the things like honoring people and having all those types of things, your life is going to speak more than that. You're not going to have to try and work for being a father, trying to father somebody, or trying to mentor somebody.
Yeah.
It comes out of you because of who you already are.
Yeah. I was talking to one of our team here at Garden Valley, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know if I've heard this said. I don't think I've heard anybody say this. It just kind of came out of my mouth. So I was talking to one of our staff. And I said, what I'm looking for in your life is, I'll say it this way. I want to smell myself when I smell you. Now that's kind of disgusting, I suppose, to say it without some explanation.
Sure, of course.
Sheep want to smell and need to smell the scent of the shepherd.
That's good.
Okay? The shepherd has a scent, and the sheep know his scent and will follow him, and they will follow his voice. And so, as, for example, what you want to do with the teens of Garden Valley Church is release both the voice and the scent of the shepherd to them that is being released to you.
Oh, come on.
So in fact,
That's really good.
generationally, let's look at it this way. Generationally, my heart is turned toward you.
Yeah.
Malachi said, the hearts of the fathers will be turned to the sons and daughters. So it initiates with a father, my heart being turned to you and extending the fathering model to you,
Yeah.
so that you can learn how to live. Like Paul said to Timothy, imitate me as I imitate Christ.
Yeah, that's good.
So follow me, imitate me. What you see me doing, he said this also in 2 Timothy. In fact, at the beginning of the new school year, we're going to be doing a series in 1st and 2nd Timothy where Paul tells the young man, he says this, if you want to live a victorious life, you do what I do. And then he lays out 8 things whereby Paul says, you model that and you will have victory.
Come on.
In every and any circumstance in your life.
That's awesome.
So it'll be a fun series to go through, but it's a fathering series. It's a imitate me series. That doesn't mean I'm going to try to control your actions and activities. It does not mean at all that I'm going to control how you think or control what you do. That's demonic.
Yeah.
But fathering says, again, I want to teach you how to think.
Yeah, it's true.
Not what. I'm going to teach you how to think so that you can learn to live and be your own person, but not with that spirit of independence that is so rampant in today's culture, that is really contrary to the fathering spirit.
Well, it goes back to the orphan spirit, right? The
Yeah.
orphan is the one that runs from. The son is the one that
Yeah.
runs to.
I had a young man in my office last week, and you would know who he is if I said his name. Probably a lot of people listening would know who he is. He's a great young man. And he said to me, I would like for you to be a father to me, spiritual father. Now, he's got a dad, but he said, I'd like you to be a spiritual father to me. I looked at him for a long time. Didn't say a word. I just looked at him. I said, all right. I said, I'll father you as you carry weight with me.
Yeah.
So there's a price we pay to walk with a spiritual father.
I would agree.
There's a price. I mean, it's not like a tuition to a college class, but there's a price. What is that price? You carry weight with me. The 12 walked with Jesus, and they learned as they were walking with him from place to place, asking him questions, trying to figure out what he was up to and why he was doing the things he was doing, rarely getting it right. Every now and then.
Especially Peter.
Yeah, Peter missed it. Just about every time but one.
But the one he got right.
The one he got right was an important one, yeah. But even though they didn't get it very often, Jesus did not give up on him.
Yeah.
He didn't give up on him.
Because he had the Hebraic model.
He was under another kind of protocol. Yeah. Yeah. So I think for especially the 20 and 30-year-olds that are watching this, and it's not limited to 20 and 30-year-olds, because when you're 40, 50, 60, 70, you're still functioning as a spiritual son while also functioning as a spiritual father.
Learn to carry weight, too, which is what you're saying.
Learn to carry weight. Learn to carry weight. Learn how to serve.
That's good.
The Hebraic model is really a servant model. Elijah took Elisha, the young prophet, and said, "You want the mantle? You want to carry my mantle?" He said, "All right. Well, you're going. It was a 10-year. He signed up for a 10-year a servantship. Wow. He served Elijah 10 years. But in the process of that journey with Elijah, serving him, what did that mean? Well, I hate to say it, but that meant he was cooking his food. He probably assisted him with laundry, and he was a servant to the old man. But when the time came, the mantle was released to him. Not one of the young school of the prophets. The mantle was released to Elisha because he served the prophet. And he had, in my terminology, he took on the smell of the prophet. He took on the character and the voice and really even the temperament of the prophet. And so when it came time for Elisha to be taken away, the mantle fell to the young man. Yeah. Because he'd paid the price.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I would say this, again, especially if you are, in your 20s or your 30s, if you're looking vocationally for employment and you can't seem to, find your sweet spot, find a business here locally.
Yeah.
Find a business here locally that you would like to work for and work at.
For free.
Yeah. Go sign yourself up to clean their toilets. Go sign yourself up to clean their windows.
Yeah. Vacuum their chairs.
Do anything you can to serve. And you know what? Somebody's going to take notice.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to recognize you and go, you know what? This kid, we got to hire this kid. We got to hire this guy. We got to hire her. Because look at where did they come from?
Yeah.
This is not normal.
Because they got the heart.
So be a servant. It'll take you a long ways in life. I promise you. You serve the man or the woman that you are under spiritually or vocationally. You serve them, and when they get promoted, they will promote you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a fact. It works that way. So
it's an upside down kingdom. That was awesome. Can't be a father until you know you're a son, which is a whole nother topic for another time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me. It was a privilege. Glad you got to come on. And
thank you, Brandon.
For those of you listening, I hope my prayer for you as you listen to this is that you would be able to find someone who you can come under. Because the moment that you serve someone else's vision and it's greater than you is also the same moment where you learn how to honor and you learn how to serve and you learn that life isn't all about you. Because it's not, because we're made to do life together and in community. So with that, see you guys in another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
God bless.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're interested in checking out more of our podcasts as they come available, please download our app in your device's app store or check us out on your podcast platform at Garden Valley Church. We look forward to seeing you next time.